I recently had this 30-day alarm clock shipped to me for inspection, commonly called wag-on-the-wall clock or a shield clock. They were common between the late 1600s and about 1870. Many of them were made in Switzerland, Germany, and Holland. This one may be German-made from the Black Forest area. It's missing the weights and correct pendulum, but otherwise looks quite complete. This center brass dial is the alarm dial. It's rotated manually to operate the alarm. The hand assembly is loose because it's missing the locking taper pin on the center arbor. I'll start by removing the hands and get the shield off. The hands are made from cast brass. They appear to have been hand filed and finished. Very thick and heavy, just what you would expect from a cast brass hand. The alarm setting assembly. The minute hand fastener looks original. The hand washer fit-up is too loose and obviously not original to the movement. One of the reasons the minute hand fit-up is so loose. The hour hand looks to have a Roman numeral stamped on the back side, and the minute hand has a matching Roman numeral on its back. They're a matched set. Here, there are some rough file marks and what looks like silver-colored solder. The hand has been reworked at one time for some reason. Here you can see the filler material. Looks like it was brazed with a brass rod. The center line on the hand isn't centered with the center square. The finish on the brass alarm dial has recent grinding marks across it. Looks like a motorized sander has been buzzed across it. The backside has a wooden cam that operates the alarm arm. These straight cuts are original from when the cam was made. These chunks cut out of the wood look like the butcher with the sander got to the backside. This darkened line here is where the alarm arm rides on the cam. The shield is held in place with these two screws securing two wire hooks. Originally, the shield would have been secured using a hook into a metal loop. The shield is indexed into these four metal pins. Each index pin has some type of white powder around them. The shield has four corner decorations, along with a landscape scene. A crack through the middle of the shield. The numbers are hand-painted. The corner decorations are a three-color, simple Gothic design, printed on water slide decals, which were invented in France in the late 1700s. The yellowed area around them is the yellowing of the old water slide decal. This blue pinstriping is hand-painted, as can be seen from the thick lines at the end of the strokes here. The reddish-yellow pinstripe around the number track is also hand-painted, along with the numbers and minute track. The face of the shield has the original paint and is riddled with cracks and chips. The white areas are the exposed paint. The yellowed areas is where the top coat of lacquer is still intact over the white paint. The crack in the shield is open and runs from top to bottom. This white substance is soft and powdery. It looks like sheetrock mud or some type of cheap filler putty. The crack in the shield has been repaired using a rubbery glue. Looks like from a hot glue gun. And here, some of that white putty, it's been applied over the top of the rubbery glue. The back of the shield should have a wire loop that the hook hooks into. Someone has taken the original hook off the movement and glued it into the shield here. The adhesive used on this repair is too thick and rubbery. Should have been a thinner adhesive. Almost a 1/4 inch of warpage. Most of these shields I see are warped, just like this one. The title on the image is in French. It means a bird's eye view of Venice. The original image was created in the year 1500. Here on the top is the Venice Railway Viaduct, built in 1846. And here the bridge over the Grand Canal. Here there's a steam paddle ship with sails. These started to be built sometime around the 1830s. Judging from the image and the rest of the clock, it could date from around 1850. More rubbery hot glue gun adhesive here. It's blocking the full function of the alarm lever. Someone sure made a mess with the hot glue and putty here. The green residue on this pivot hole is copper oxide. It tells me there's brass bushings in this movement. The older wood movements didn't use bushings in them. Looks like the butcher with the sander left his mark here as well. And here there's deep sanding gouges. The back is held in with 5 screws. It needs to be removed to inspect the condition of the movement. Here on the back it looks like the remains of the original paper label. If it were still intact, we would know who the maker was, and a crack that was repaired the right way in the past. More rubberized hot glue gun adhesive. The back is riddled with bug holes. This might be drywood termite damage. I hope they aren't active. These 2 larger holes are index pin holes. They index to the back of the movement and also provide structural strength from the heavy weights. These are the 2 back pillar posts for the movement. They're fastened permanently, tightened up with wood wedges when installed. And these are the ends of the tenons of the 2 front plates fastened permanently. Here on the top you can see the other ends of the 4 pillar supports and the tenons of the 2 front plates. The time side back plate with its pivot holes, and the strike side back plate with its pivot holes. Green copper oxide on these brass bushings indicate it's been years since the movement has been serviced. The verge pivot hole, escape wheel, 3 stamped indentations on the back indicate it's the original back. It's a numbered clock movement, matching marks here on the strike plate, and here on the time plate. There is some bushing wear, but not too bad for its age. The customer said this is the pendulum that came with the clock. It's from a newer time period, definitely not the original. Original would have looked similar to this one, and designed to fit up to a single wire pendulum rod. The original pendulum rod attaches to this rod hanger. The pendulum rod goes through this crutch slot, something like this. I'll look into this later. Too much end shake on the verge. Looks like some recent sanding marks here. These scribe lines on the back plates help the builders locate bushings and key attachments. These 2 pins hold the 2 back plates in place. Some side shake in this wheel. More green copper oxide. I see the mount for the bells has some adhesive around it. It's a little loose. One thing to always check on these wooden movements is the tightness of the main frame. If it racks back and forth, it can cause gears to misalign. It's caused from the weights. They cause stress on the wood frame and over time can loosen the joints. A lot of collectors will mount these wood movements on a shelf or perch instead of hanging them from the back to prevent this condition from happening. It's easily fixed with some glue injected in the right areas. Click for the ratchet wheel for the strike side is working. A little stiff, but seems to run smoothly. Here you can see the bushings sticking out of the wood plate. They're installed this way as a means to adjust the end play of the gears. Strike lever and wheel for the alarm. The drive wheel assembly for the alarm is called a rope drive. It's tough to see the pulley for the alarm, but it's a wooden split pulley. Each side of the pulley has teeth that are slanted in opposite directions. They move independently of each other. Here you can see the back pulley plate moving, but the front wooden plate isn't rotating. A butcher has mounted a chain on a rope drive pulley. Hope the chain hasn't damaged the wood teeth on the pulley. Time to fabricate a temporary pendulum rod. I'll use this soft baling wire. It'll just take several minutes to harden and straighten it at the same time. Nice. Straight and rigid now. It's going to do just fine. I'm going to temporarily set the movement up to inspect to see how it operates. The temporary pendulum rod needs a hook to attach it to the rod anchor. This should work. I need some type of bob designed to accept a single rod like this one. And some type of temporary quick adjustment system. This will serve the purpose for now. Make sure the strike side and alarm side is free and working okay. I'll test it with these 2.5 pound weights. The strike side is working. The 3-second bell sound at the end is for the 3/4 hour. It's missing the wire activation rod here. The rod should go through this hole in the bottom plate and attach here on this wire loop. It's for manually activating the strike mechanism. Oh, it jumped. This 1/4 hour rod slides back and forth, and depending on its position, it rings the second bell for the 1/4 hours. Here you can see the 3 pins that work on the 1/4 hour rod. It's a little stiff. It needs a return spring mounted to it. Return spring is hanging loose right here. Much better. Now the strike rod needs the return spring attached as well. This will work for a test. Now to activate the strike with the hand. Oh, what was that? The weight did a free fall drop. Must be something with the ratchet wheel. Make sure these gear teeth are all hitting the chain links correctly. Here you can see the tooth is in the middle of the chain link. As the wheel rotates, the chain becomes misaligned to the teeth. The chain walks over some of the teeth, twists in a circle, and skips a tooth once in a while. Someone installed the wrong chain. Well, I can test it with this chain, but it's going to need the correct chain if it's going to be put in service. Another sign of a butcher. It's out of beat, but for a test, the temporary weight and pendulum rod setup is working great. Back to this butchered chain setup for the alarm. Someone mounted this piece of wire for a stop on the chain. Probably because the chain kept slipping on the wooden rope pulley. These pins hit the alarm bell hammer rod. The alarm bell hammer arm. It needs a return spring mounted to it. I'll get this chain off so it doesn't cause any more damage to the pulley, and fit a rope to it. The alarm bell hammer release lever won't move fully. Someone has hot glued it so it won't move fully. Inspecting the strike mechanism, I see some excess play in some of the rods, but it's still striking okay. Now to check the alignment of the minute hand to the strike. It's starting the strike about 5 minutes early, and the hand is quite loose. The square in the center of the minute hand is filed too large for the minute wheel shaft. This steel pin on the minute wheel should be located exactly 180 degrees from the minute hand. The minute hand looks like it's mislocated about 5 minutes off from the steel pin. Square pin, retainer washer. It's been sanded on. Remove this hot glue adhesive so the arm will move fully. The adhesive is almost like a rubber band material. Now the arm will allow the hour wheel to be removed. Someone's been busy with that electric sander again. They've butchered and defaced this gear. And this one too has been butchered on both sides. Looks like a new retainer spring. Now to take a look at these rear plates closer. Something is wrong here with this much end shake. I think someone has bent the verge cock for some reason. Definitely some recent scratches here. It'll need to be removed to correct. This rivet is new and shiny compared to the rest of the steel parts on the movement. Time to remove the time side rear plate. Use this flat knife blade to prevent tool marks on the wood from these nippers. Pull the mounting pin out. Original would have been a square nail. This one is just a nail that's been cut short. Rear time side plate. Verge. Escape wheel. Second wheel. The verge is numbered with these 3 marks. Pallet surfaces look like they've been stoned and cleaned up recently. No signs of any dried or dirty oil. The surface rust has also been cleaned off of the arbor. Escape wheel is matching with these 3 marks. Some surface rust. Pivots are in fair shape. The lantern pinion is worn but serviceable. The third wheel has matching 3 marks. And some surface rust. Pivots are in fair shape with some dried black oil deposits. Lantern pinion is a little rusty. Matching 3 marks here. Bearing surface looks good. The pivot's in good shape. Click works good and is in good shape. Center of the winding wheel is worn. It should have a bushing installed. The winding wheel assembly is held in place with a brass snap ring. Someone sure sanded some gouges in this wheel assembly. They even sanded into the steel trundles and strike pins on the outside edge. Sanded almost halfway through the brass wheel here. And on this retainer washer. Could use a bushing here. A lot of lost motion with it being this loose. Someone used a nail for a rivet here. Not able to put this wood plate in clock cleaning solution, so these bushings will need to be pegged out with peg wood to clean them. You can see the insides of them are crusty with dried oil. Could use a good cleaning, pivots polished, a couple of bushings, and some adjustments, and it should run just fine. But it's going to need a rope for the rope drive in the alarm side. Correct sized chains for the time and strike side. Minute hand may need to be reworked to correct its clocking error so it's not striking 5 minutes early. A pendulum rod and bob fitted and timed. Manual release lever for the strike mechanism. I'll get with the customer with my findings and see how they want to proceed.